Welcome back everybody to our Intermediate and Advanced Civil 3D Training video series. In this next video, we're going to take a look at creating profiles for the alignments that we created in the previous video. So just a quick recap. Previous video, we created our main road alignments. We have 3 main road alignments. These will be the center lines of our road, and we also created our 3 offset alignments for our 2 knuckles and our cul-de-sac. So this video is going to concentrate on creating the profile views for our 3 alignments here. We're going to extract the existing ground from our existing ground surface, and we're also going to create a design ground on top of it, paying attention to all the relevant naming. Make sure we name our objects so we can pay attention when we're doing our corridors and we can select the right items. So as we have our alignments made, I'm going to click on Profiles, and I'm going to select Create Profile from a surface. Civil 3D then pops up this dialog box, Create Profile from Surface, and I'm going to start off with my 64th Avenue extension. It was the first one I built. I'll do the 3 road center lines first, and then I'll do the 3 offset ones afterwards. Now we only have one surface in our drawing. We have the 6 alignments though, so this is going to be a lot of rinse and repeat. We'll take an alignment, we'll add the surface to it, we'll make sure the styles are set up, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to select my 64th Avenue extension. I'm going to select the surface I want to add into that profile view, which would be my existing ground, and I will click Add. If you inadvertently make a mistake, there is a remove button which will remove that entity. It will only work right now as we are making the profile. If you come into the dialog box after and try and remove it, that remove button will be grayed out. So I'm going to select Add. Another thing to note in here is we can tell Civil 3D to only sample a specific set of stations if we want. If I only wanted the first 200 meters, I can come in here and type in 200, and Civil 3D would model that 200 for me. However, I want it to do the entire 519.925 meters, just give me my whole road in the profile view. Now, a lot of the time I'll just hit OK, and Civil 3D will kick me right out of the dialog box, and I'll show you that now. You don't need to click OK right now, but it'll kick me out of the dialog box, and nothing will come up in my command line. I'll have to then go back into Create Profile from Surface. I'll select my 64th Avenue extension. And we notice here that now this is all grayed out. I cannot remove it. I cannot change the style. I can't do anything to it. So just be careful when you are coming in here to do things. I'll have to change the style afterwards, as I believe it is set to the design ground right now. Yes, it's set to my design ground, so I can change it afterwards. The button I am looking for is the Draw in Profile View button. Now, if you didn't click OK like I did, go ahead and set the style here. Just click on it, set your style to your existing ground. It's the one we're sampling right now. So I'll hit Draw in Profile View, which will take me into the Create Profile View General. Now, I tend to name my profile views as the exact same as my alignment. So my alignment is going to be called 64th Avenue Extension. My profile view will be 64th Avenue Extension as well. I'm going to just select my 10 times vertical station interval. Now, depending on where you live, you might want to use a 1 times vertical. You might not need any additional profile stretching. You might need a 2, 5, 10. That's up to the jurisdiction where you live and how flat the terrain is. I live somewhere relatively flat, so I'm going to use that 10 times vertical. I'm also going to make a mental note that I am physically stretching my profile 10 times, so my 3% grade is going to display as more of a 30% grade. Now, just to go through this dialog box the first time, I'm going to hit Next. All previous run-throughs of this, I will not go through the entire dialog box because my options are going to be the same. Station range, we can tell the profile to only build. So the previous station range was the profile line within inside your profile view. This is the entire profile view. I can tell it to only build 200 meters of the profile view instead of 200 meters of the profile itself. And I'll differentiate these two when we finally click OK and build our profile. So I could do a user specified range if I want, really handy for controlling what stations are on your page. I'm just going to leave it on automatic. We'll hit next. Our profile view height. So how tall do we want this? Right now, Civil 3D is just going to automatically build it. It's the minimum elevation will be 1092. The maximum will be 1095. Again, we can control the elevations that are shown on the page. When we are going to do our final design and laying this on a plan profile, we might want to control these elevations a little better, and we can come in here and do so. Profile display options, we can have it display a grid, we can clip the grid, a lot of things in here we're not going to mess with. If you have any pipes in your drawing, the next option will be pipes or pressure pipes, and options to automatically add the entire network to your profile. I tend not to use this because I don't want every single pipe in my drawing added to this profile. I will go and manually add my pipes later. Data bands. If we have data bands, basically additional labels at either the top or the bottom of your profile view to give more information. So we could have it pull off existing ground and design ground elevations at specific stations, whatever we set up. I'm not going to put any data bands on. Just I don't want to clutter my drawing up a little bit more, but if you guys have data bands, feel free to add them. And then profile hatch options. I don't hatch my profiles. I don't need to see any cut areas or fill areas on this. When I generate my sections, I might view them on sections, but not for a general profile view. So once we've gone through all those dialog boxes, we've set our options up, we've selected what we want, we've turned off what we don't want, we can then click Create Profile View. Civil 3D then asks us to select the origin, so I'm going to just go up to the top right, and yes, I already have assemblies built. We'll deal with that later. I've kept them in the drawing so I can just steal some numbers off them when we're going to design the curves and whatnot. I've placed my profile view in, and we see that my existing ground line, and when I click on it, this is my profile. This line here is called a profile. The overall grid is a profile view. So this is my profile within my profile view. Now, when I click on this, we have no grips. It's physically attached to my 64th Avenue extension. I'm not going to be able to modify this in the view here. It will update if I change my surface, but the main thing I want to highlight is when you want to move this. If you place this profile view in the wrong spot, please don't window around it and use the move command. I know enter is really, really handy. Civil 3D objects are dynamic, they're connected. If something is connected to something else, so this profile is connected to this profile view, please, general rule of thumb, click on the profile view and just move it with the grip. That way everything comes along with it. There's no need to window everything. And again, I can do that again. We see that profile line comes with it. Now I selected the wrong style when I set it up, or I didn't set it up and I hit OK inadvertently. So I'm going to change my style right now. I'm going to select the 64th Avenue extension profile. I'm going to come into profile properties. I'm going to switch it to existing ground. And I'm also going to change the name while I'm at it. 64th Avenue extension existing. And I'll hit OK. So we see that the style has changed. It's now a gray dash line. This is my existing ground, and the name is also changed, 64th Avenue extension existing. I'm going to quickly create a design ground for this. So I'm going to go under profiles, create profile by layout. I'm going to select the outer extents of my profile view, so the green boundary. And up comes my create profile, draw new. Now my alignment is going to build it off of, everything goes under the alignments in your tool space, 64th Avenue extension, and then it's going to put in some kind of random name. I'm going to name this 64th Avenue extension design. So this will be my design line. My design criteria, if you want to use criteria-based design, go for it. Again, it could throw a bunch of errors and warnings on your drawing. I'm not going to turn it on. My profile style is going to be my design profile. It's going to make a layer, and I don't want any labels on it right now. I can go ahead and add the labels manually later. So I'll hit OK. It'll bring up our profile layout tools dialog box with a number of options. Now, with your jurisdiction, there are going to be vertical curves. There's going to be K values that you need to adhere to. You'll have to open up your design standard document and find the section on vertical curves. And I'll have to track down the table for vertical curves. So give me 1 second here. All right, track down the table for the vertical curves. Now we have what's called a crest curve. So if you're driving over the top of a hill, or we have a sag curve if you're driving through the bottom of a valley. It's either an up curve or a down curve, and each one has different requirements. So I'm going to take a look at my 60 kilometers an hour because that's what this road is, and I see that I'm not going to worry about the stopping sight distance. I'm going to look at the K values. Minimum K value for where I live is 15. Desirable is 20. Now that is on a crest curve. I'm going to try and hit the desirable the best I can. The bigger the K values, the safer the road will be. We just can't put in 1,000 K value though, because our curve would be astronomically huge. So my crest curve is going to be a K value of 20. My sag curve is going to be a K value of 20 as well. We're going to try and meet that headlight control so we can see far enough into the distance. Now these are not going to be giant curves, but K value of 20 for the crest and 20 for the sag. They're not always the same. If we look at 50, we have 10 and 11. So in my profile layout tools, I'm just going to quickly set up my curve settings. I'm going to put my K value to 20 and 20 just so Civil 3D builds it for me as we're going along. I'm going to use this drop down arrow and draw tangents with curves. Now, when you're drawing vertical curves, less is more. I'm not going to put 1,000 vertical curves in this little tiny profile. I'm going to try and fit maybe 2 in there based on the way the existing ground is going. And I'm going to assume that the existing ground is already being stripped, it's being compacted, and this will be our finalized surface that we're going to build our road top on. Now, when I'm drawing a profile view, and this is very, very, very important for when you go and create your corridor, you need to ensure that you are snapping to the very, very end of your existing ground. There could be, as we zoom in more and more, there could be a little node in here that leaves a 1 millimeter gap. And if you have that 1 millimeter gap, your corridor is building to 0. You're going to wind up with a massive drawing, potentially crashing and corruption. So I'm going to zoom in. I'm going to ensure that I am clicking on the very end point of my gray design line. And you also notice that I am working from left to right here. I am working from the direction of the profile from 0 to positive. Now, as I'm drawing my profile line here, my design profile, wherever I click is going to place one of these vertical curves, whether it's a crest or a sag. So where I click is going to put the PVI, the point of vertical intersection. Now, when I'm drawing my design ground, I try and roughly do 50%, have my cyan line 50% above, 50% below the ground. So it tends to balance any cuts and fills. Feel free to turn off O-snaps for this so it's not snapping to every line in your profile as well. So I'm going to roughly click, I'll click just after station 300, and we will be moving these when we go to make the intersections because Civil 3D does not like to build intersections in vertical curves. I'm going to place my next one at roughly about 425 meters. And my last one, I'm going to ensure to snap to the very end. I'm not going to snap to here. I'm going to zoom in and snap to the end of that existing ground line. And then I'll hit enter. Now, if we zoom out now, zoom out, we see that Civil 3D has placed our two vertical curves in here. And then I can go and grab these grips and I can adjust it a bit to help me better align it with the 50% above, 50% below. Now the grips, there are 3 grips on a PVI. This one will allow me to move it wherever. This grip on the right hand side will keep the grade of the road over here and change the grade of the road on the right. And this grip will do the opposite of the one before. It'll keep the grade over here and change the grade on the left. These 3 grips will modify the length of your vertical curve. They'll actually adjust your K value. I suggest not playing with them too much. I like to control my K values through my profile grid view. So if you click profile grid view, we see that we have our alignment or our profile details here. We have the profile starting at 0, and we have a grade of minus 1.2% to the first vertical curve with a K value of 20. The curve length is 67 meters, so it's 67 meters from start to end. The second one we have is a crest curve. The curve length is 94 meters with a K value of 20. Now, K values are all dependent on the grades coming in, the grades going out. The curve lengths, sorry. So the bigger your grade difference, the longer your curve length is going to be. So I'm going to quickly run through the next 2 profile views. So I'll go profiles, create profile from surface. I'm going to do it on my Teardale way. I'm going to add my existing ground in. I'm going to change this to my existing ground profile. I'll hit draw on profile view. I'll name this Teardale way. And like I said, I'm going to keep all these the same. I'm going to place it below my 64th Avenue extension. And while I'm here, I'm going to come into profile properties and rename this. Creating a design profile, create profile from layout, select the outer extents, Teardale Way Design, and we'll draw tangents with curves. However, we want to change the curve settings for these because crests and sags for 50 kilometers an hour were a little bit different. So 50 kilometers an hour, my crest is 10, my sag is 11. And then I can draw tangents with curves. Now this subdivision, I know we're going to need a vertical curve kind of right in here, and I'm purely setting this up so it makes it a little bit easier later. We're going to need one here. We're going to need one roughly here. And again, I'm snapping to the endpoint and hitting enter. This can all be modified and changed later, so don't worry about it too terribly much. And I'm going to finally create my profile for, profiles create from surface for my Teardale place. Add in my existing ground, switch it to existing ground, draw on profile view. Teardale place, not design yet. Next, create my profile view, drop it down below, and then finally create profiles, create profile from layout, Teardale place design, and then I'll go rename my existing here in a moment. I'm going to just draw plain old tangents. I know from this design that we want one straight tangent from start to end, and hit enter. These can also be name changed in properties as well. So Teardale place existing, Teardale place design, we can do them right in properties. We can do it, if we select it, right click, profile, properties, we can change it in here as well. So one thing I'm not going to do yet because I don't have the information for it is I'm not going to create my knuckles or my cul-de-sac profiles yet. That will be in a future video when we go and start our corridor design. So in this video, we took our 3 alignments. We created profile views for them and we created profiles for them. We named things properly. We're going to pay attention to what we're doing. while we're doing it so that we have less headaches later on when we go and build our corridor. In the next video, we're going to start taking a look at our assemblies and creating detailed assemblies for our road design.